Hey again guys, and welcome back to the next car review, and I bring you an American sports car. This is the Cadillac ATS-V, and it is a high performance version of the standard Cadillac, and I will be covering all the facts and personal opinions about this particular sports car. And then we are going to get into the features and also the disadvantages and advantages before buying this car for yourself. Now if you're thinking about buying a Cadillac, you might want to be careful with this one, because if you like the ATS-V, I think it's definitely a handsome Cadillac. This Cadillac is one of the coolest ones ever, and it is the second fastest Cadillac alongside its bigger brother, the big boy sedan, the CTS-V, that can reach 200 miles per hour, has a 6.2 liter V8 engine. But this one has the minus 2 cylinders. This car has a twin turbocharged V6, but the engine is very strong and the top speed is great. The Cadillac ATS-V. The V in the name stands for Victory from Cadillac, which means this is not your average day Cadillac. This is a high performance version of Cadillac that you can take it out on track days or for a weekend drive, because the ATS-V is a smaller sibling of the CTS-V, which means it is a smaller Cadillac. It only has 2 doors, 2 seats, and it has a really small trunk. But the bigger advantage is that it has a really powerful engine that will get you going in just 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds. The Cadillac ATS-V came in 2 body styles, the sedan version and the coupe version, which is this one we're looking at. The coupe version had an automatic transmission or a manual transmission option. The manual transmission version was slower than automatic. According to Motor Trend, they tested at Laguna Seca around the track for 1 lap. The automatic version had an 8-speed and the manual version has a 6-speed. The automatic version is better than the manual, to be honest, if you want to drive it daily, which is not to be meant to be driven daily if you don't want to shift. This Cadillac ATS-V is powerful and fast for a small car. Now remember that this is the V, not the regular. This car features a twin turbocharged 3.5 liter V6 engine that makes the engine output of 464 horsepower, and it can go from 0 to 60 in just 3.8 seconds, and it can reach to a stunning top speed of 189 miles per hour going 6th gear, accelerating, which is very agile for a General Motors V6 engine. That is very impressive with 464 horsepower, and it was strong enough to compete with cars like the BMW M3 and the M4 F82 and the Mercedes-AMG C63S. The Cadillac ATS-V destroyed both of those cars according to Motor Trend, and was the fastest at Willow Springs International Raceway, and it was also the least expensive in comparison to both German cars that were more luxury than the Cadillac ATS-V. Not to mention, this car had 445 pound-foot of torque. The top speed of 189 miles per hour from the V6 that has twin turbocharged against the inline 6 and also the V8 AMG, that is pretty impressive from a Cadillac. And not to mention, Cadillac managed to beat the BMW's top speed and be one of the most fun, stable sports cars. The Cadillac ATS-V was released for the 2016 model year against the sedan version. The ATS-V can rev up to 6,500 RPM. Now, what I heard from other viewers about driving this car, the ATS-V is tight inside. There's only 2 seats, and the driving experience is amazing of the Cadillac ATS-V. When it comes to driving it on the streets, and especially putting out on the track to get the full experience, you will find some sacrifices while you're driving it, but at the same time, the car is amazing. It's one of the most fun Cadillacs ever, and it's very balanced. It's very well comfortable and comfortable to handle, so it does not bite you. And it won't, because it's a really fun car. It will go easy on you unless you do not push it to the limit. But the Cadillac ATS-V is a well-balanced car, as you can feel that really good sporty suspension. But in comparison to cars like the BMW M4, you will probably want to go for the M4 Coupe or the AMG C63, but I would suggest you probably just choose wisely between these three cars, because the M4 will be my choice. I do love the Cadillac ATS-V. The C63S is okay, but the BMW is my favorite, and as we talked about that when I reviewed the M4 GTS, go check that out for more information from another video. But the M4, you get more space, you get more leg room, and you get 4 seats. And not to mention, it is more worth it than the Cadillac. Because the Cadillac ATS-V, if we dive right into the practicality is very low of this ATS-V. This is not meant to be driven every day. Cadillac only has a 10.7 cargo feet trunk space. The ATS-V ranks poorly among luxury small cars. Its performance chops are strong, but it has a below average predicted reliability rating and an unimpressive cabin quality, and its seating and trunk space is very subpar, which means it is a below average level. So if you want a everyday Cadillac, buy a wagon or buy a CTS-V, because they both have more trunk space. Now overall, I would compare this car to many other trunk spaces, like the Ford Mustang GT and the Camaro Super Sport has more of a trunk space than the Cadillac ATS-V. But the bigger advantage of this Cadillac ATS-V is that it acts like a muscle car, but it's not a V8. And does a muscle car have to have a V8 to be muscle? Not necessarily, because this Cadillac ATS-V was probably meant to be a little sibling of the CTS, because the CTS is meant for luxury and it has more luxury in it than the ATS-V. The ATS-V is faster than the Mustang GT and the Camaro Super Sport combined. While they're both pony cars and they're both are competitors to one another, the Cadillac ATS-V fights against the M4, the M3, and the C63S, and the top speed is 189, which is quicker and faster than the Mustang GT and the Camaro Super Sport. Now quote me if I'm wrong, because the Cadillac ATS-V 0 to 60 times, it depends if you get automatic, in 3.8 seconds as your result, but if you get the manual, I'm not sure the 0 to 60 times are different. It can be, it can vary, but the top speed and the gearbox, definitely the gearbox will be different, because with the manual version you get the 6-speed and the automatic you get the 8-speed. Suggest you get the 8-speed if you really want to drive this car every day, but you can try. It's going to be a bit hard, a bit disturbing, and it's probably going to make you some sacrifices, Cadillac. But if you want to buy this car, this is the cheapest car out of the two other competitors that it's competing against with. And not to mention, you can get this car for under 70,000, 70K, and that is really good pricing. But you got to understand that this car is not a really good investment, because for everyday reasons you will need to drive to work, in grocery store, or to travel. But this car can be fun for cruising, be fun for ripping around and drifting it maybe, or just racing it on track and getting a feel for it. And as I said before about my impressions, this Cadillac is handsome. It is a really good looking car. It is fast, it is great to handle, and I think I've seen it in real life before. I'm not sure, but I did see an ATS regular, but not the ATS-V before. I might have seen it and not remember, but I did see the Cadillac ATS before. Not the CTS. I wish I have seen the CTS version. And I'm not talking about the regular. I'm talking about the V means for victory for Cadillac. The high performance. So that is the car review for today. And if you want an average day sports car that you would drive every day 24/7 Buy a BMW M4, buy a Mercedes, buy a Mustang, buy a Camaro. Don't buy a Cadillac ATS-V unless you want to make sacrifices of this car's practicality. It's very horrible, the cabin is bad, and also the trunk space is limited, very. And unlike other cars, buy the BMW, buy a Mustang. Anyways, this car is amazing for what it is. And that is being fast and powerful from a V6 engine. Alright, now time for the engine sound. Let's get inside of the ATS-V. And when I get inside of here, inside the gauge cluster, the infotainment system is very small. And the gauge cluster, it reminds me of the Corvette almost. And I think some of the elements inside of this interior shares the same thing as the Corvette. I'm not sure which element, but there is something in here that's hidden that acts like a Corvette. But without further ado, let's get you the car sound. Take a listen. Okay, that was the sound of the ATS-V Cadillac. Now, to hold this review even longer, if you want to hear fun additional facts about this ATS-V, well, come on and stay in this video. So Cadillac made the ATS-V racing version of this car, called the ATS-V.R, a race car based version on the ATS-V under the GT3 regulations. It participated in the Primarily World Challenge from 2015 to 2017. The race car was called the ATS-V.R GT3, and it's one of the most underrated GT3 race cars ever. Now, I first discovered the Cadillac ATS-V.R race car in Project Cars 1 video game from Mad Studios, and that was the first time me seeing the Cadillac ATS-V race car. It was featured in Project Cars 1, 2, and 3. And I wish most other racing games featured the Cadillac ATS-V.R GT3. Not to mention, Cadillac ATS-V.R, the race car, was very interesting to become a GT3 race car. It had the same engine. I'm not sure how much horsepower it made, but it had the same engine just like the road car. And it was the successor to the CTS-V race car from the mid-2000s. This time with the V6 engine. Alright, so that was the end of this car review, and I hope you guys really enjoy. Give me any car suggestions, make sure to leave a comment down below, and leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, have a safe day, boys.